I think this is going to be a very exciting week, whatever that means, whether that's ups or downs. I think there is a lot of volatility. And we obviously know that ADA's done a pretty good job of getting into this week so far, and hopefully it continues. But right now, there's something actually suggesting we might be on the verge of a pretty sizable altcoin move, altcoin breakout. We're going to discuss that in this video, something that we haven't looked at in just a little bit of time, but this has been very, very accurate in the past. Also want to discuss just the ADA BTC chart and a post that was made by the DApp analyst. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So what I like to do in terms of ADA is I like to zoom out and I like to look at this on a much longer term trend. And when you look at this market cycle, guys, it really doesn't look bad. Have there been assets that have performed better? Yes. Have there been assets that have performed worse? Yes. ADA is kind of sitting right in the middle. And I want to remind everybody that we're still kind of in this spot right here where we're trying to build towards this breakout and extension to the upside. This ADA just tends to perform much better later on in cycles. And that is when we have the potential to see this supply shock that we're talking about. You have to remember that we've had all this ADA removed from exchanges. We have people that have long-term mindset, major conviction that don't plan on dumping anytime soon or even at the all-time high. Guys, there is very little resistance above here, but we have to get above here. Okay. Right now, making any calls, it's very tough to do just because we haven't breached that December high yet. That's where things are going to get really fun. In fact, DApp analyst made a post a couple days ago that said, what if ADA does this, showing this run all the way up to about $7 or so in terms of ADA. And if you guys remember, that's where the edge of my predictions are. Somewhere between $7 to $15 ADA would make a lot of sense. I still see some people saying that's impossible, and then that's fine. We'll see what happens as this cycle progresses. And frankly, I still believe we're going to see an extended cycle now. I'm getting very much convinced of this. The data is really supporting that a lot right now. And maybe things change as we get into the fall. I think we're going to get a bit of a shakeout as we get close to what would normally be the top in terms of the market cycle. But things have changed a lot. There's so much buying taking place. Institutional players are now involved. They're not going to take that big of a bath on assets. And so it's going to be a very surprising cycle nonetheless. Now, just looking at the ADA BTC chart, we're doing a very good job here. All right, we're sitting at about 6,400 sats or so. And right now, if you guys remember, we're trying to make our way back up to 6,800 sats, get a little bit of a breakout from there. And actually, when we're looking at the weekly chart in terms of this, you guys can see our 20-week moving average is coming right down to that line. So ADA has the opportunity to get a little bit lively over the next week or two, and this is showing exactly that. But there's something suggesting that we may have an even more sizable altcoin rally ahead. Now, this is actually the total 3 US 500 chart. So all assets outside of BTC and Ethereum versus the S&P 500. And we've done these consolidation waves, all right? Periods where we're not performing well against the US 500, and then we finally break out of this and we get a nice extension, nice rally, right? If you guys remember, all the way back here in basically September, October of 2023, that's when the bull market kicked off. Take a look at this, went on a nice rally all the way up until December of 2023, consolidated versus the S&P, and then finally in February, broke out again. Nice rally against this. You guys can see this again here in October, obviously leading into the surge of November. Here again, breakout in April, where we saw a nice rally out of that. Here again, breakout in July, nice rally against that. And now we're actually even broken out against a bigger structure here. But what we're fighting right now is a similar consolidation phase. Now, what I will say here is this 20-day moving average is usually a really good sign of whether we're about to make an extension or not, right? We have to flip this. We have to extend and break out of this trend. A lot of times they happen at a very similar time. In fact, last time you guys can see it happened at the exact point that we broke out. Pretty big deal, right? Now, what I will also say is right now we're on the verge of doing the same thing, breaking out right at the time we could be crossing that 20-day moving average. This is something that could frankly take place today. It's possible that we see one of those big weeks where it's just green, 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 green. Again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. Don't twist my words. But right now we're at the point in the charts where theoretically that could be the case. In fact, we look at this on the weekly chart. That wasn't the right one. When we're looking at the BTC versus the US 500 chart, it does a very similar thing. And right now it's fighting this exact same breakout. It's fighting this exact same trend. And we might be on the verge of a more sizable run here. In fact, BTC, which has been kind of lagging for probably about 3 weeks now, when we're looking at this weekly chart on the BTC versus the US 500, this is one of the lower periods we've been in stochastic RSI as a breakout is taking place. Want to show everybody as well as, this 20-week moving average is usually a pretty good support and rally for BTC versus the US 500. But look at some of these breakouts before, right? This one obviously in March was kind of lower there. This one here in July was a little bit higher. We've had ones where we've been kind of all the way at the top of this trend before, and now I'm just rambling, but you guys get the point, right? We're at this point where we're looking at breakouts throughout the crypto market that could be taking place today, tomorrow, the next day. All right. We'll just have to watch and wait and see what happens. That's all we can do. Guys, understand that I don't control the charts. I don't control the news. Hopefully we don't get any negative surprises this week like we got dealt last week yet again. But that's where we're at. A lot of capital flows are suggesting that we could be on the verge of a rally. Conviction of holders suggesting we could be on a verge of a rally. I mean, take your pick right now. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.